So good morning, everyone. Welcome to
Good
WooWoo in the Brain.
morning.
We're back. We are doing a little bit of a creative endeavor this week. And so thanks so much for your patience. We have COVID vaccines at the end of this week. My daughter and I, we were a little concerned about how everybody's going to be feeling.
I didn't want to have a bucket. I'm just saying.
Right.
I didn't want to sit with the bucket.
No buckets.
I've heard
No
some
buckets.
things about people.
Dear Lord, if I need a bucket, we are in trouble. So I'm just saying, okay, we are doing this preemptively just to make sure that we still get content out, but that Friday is free for me to go do my vaccine. So here we are. Today is spring cleaning of the soul, which is just totally right up our alley. We're super excited about this content. I think this is really fun. And we started talking about the seasons, even in the fall is, I believe, the first time we really started kind of delving into the energy of a season, right? So I love this idea. And so we're going to talk about things like soul care, but literally like the spring cleaning, right? So I love this idea Natalie brought up about our homes, our self-care routines, all these things. So we're going to dig into that in a minute. But where we're going to start today is for some information that I listened to on Insight Timer. So again, love Insight Timer. I'm a student in there as well as a teacher. And I stumbled across this guy named Justin Fairman. It's Faerman, Justin Fairman. And he was talking about flow. And his talk, in case anybody wants to actually go look it up, because there's nothing worse than not having the information. It's how to optimize your brain for flow by Justin Fairman, Insight Timer. So you'd have to look him up. And I actually want to track him down and have an Instagram chat with him, just so you know, Natalie, I think you would love this guy.
The concept of flow is so cool.
Oh, it is
people who are really have done the research and are really into it.
Yes.
It's so valuable. I mean, it's all these concepts I've talked about with the brain, but it's like training your brain to do that for yourself.
Yes.
Lovely.
It's amazing.
I would love that.
It's amazing. And so what I'm going to do is open with just a little bit of his talk. I'm not going to delve in because that would take us, his talk was at least an hour and a half or better. So it's no joke. I was taking notes and listening, and then I take some more notes. He is just amazing. So here's what he really gets at. I think this is what's cool. So we know there's different layers of the brain, and Natalie would probably do this way better justice than I, but there's different layers of the brain state and how it's flowing. And so what we want to do optimally, and this is according to Justin, optimally what we're looking for is the alpha theta border. Okay, so for those of you who are like, what in the hell is that?
I'm so geeked out right now.
So alpha theta, I know Natalie's like, Jen's talking, but what?
Oh my God.
So it's more chill, relaxed, meditative is the alpha. Okay, so that's what alpha is. Theta is like psychic capacity, intuition, inspiration, creativity. Okay, so I this is like my so it's like our slowing of the consciousness. And so we're looking for something that's kind of riding right in the middle of that space for optimal flow. Okay, so, and he said, and I thought this was neat. Now, this is his quote, so not mine, but he said we are between 200% and 500%. Is that like a thing? Between 200% and 500% increase in output of productivity in a state of flow. Hot
for sure.
Damn. So I was like, that is so cool. So again, feverishly taking notes. Okay.
The reason for it too is because you're not using bandwidth for thinking and all of the little parts. It's like equal parts kind of procedural memory. So like your brain going into auto mode. And creativity. It's so crazy, this flow area. And so he's right. I don't do math, so I don't know how you come up with 500%, but you're literally not wasting any energy is kind of what the idea is.
It's so cool. And for me, I think what's really interesting, I want to make a quick correlation here that I think is really cool. My meditation state is where all my stuff comes through. I can't be in meditation for 2 minutes and not have an idea sink in there. Not an exaggeration. It's hard to meditate because that's where creativity comes. And I'm like, no, I just want to chill. And all of a sudden my things are popping in. And so it's this really lovely thing. And bonus piece, I would say that I think is really cool is I think Uber learning this reminds me of Yoga Nidra. I think this is the state almost where we take people in Yoga Nidra.
Sure.
And it's super boosted learning time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I just want to throw that out there.
Let me just say one more thing to help people understand. a child under the age of 10, their brain is, I think it's 80%, don't quote me, but 80% of the time is in alpha wave.
Dang.
So adult brains are in beta, which is something we haven't talked about, but that's okay. But alpha is kind of the learning mode, a default mode for our brain. Theta is this practiced mode that you can get to that is for creativity and meditation. And that is what Jen is talking about, which really all she's doing is bragging to us that she's great at meditating. But alpha is like, that is we are built to be in alpha during 0 to 10, which makes sense, right? Because kids got to learn all the stuff.
Right.
They're language, walking, all the things.
All of it. Exactly. Yeah. Well said. Well said. So the way that Justin broke down flow, and I thought this totally rings my bell and resonates for me, is he talked about all the senses. So each sense he broke down, and he talked about the things that we can do to bring ourselves into the greatest state of flow. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through all of them because we would be here for, that would be an awesome conversation for another day. It's too long for today.
With him.
I know. I'm like, let's get him to tell us, right? Because let's take Ben out of the equation because he'll say it better than me. What I want us to really think about, and what his, if I could summarize what he's saying, is that we have the power to transform and shift ourselves into these states. And the ideal places are ways to plug in our senses. So for sure, one example would be things like he said abundantly, and I want to be really clear about this, is nature. And what's interesting is we were talking, Natalie was like, oh, and being in nature. And I'm like, well, Justin would 110%, we all would have said that, because nature is just naturally, we know when we're in nature, our brains go into these states. So when we're in nature, so here's what happens though, and this is where I really like to pull this idea in is, okay, that's not super novel. I mean, we've probably all come to this conclusion at some point, like, yes, absolutely, nature is healing. We hear about it all the time. What I think is really cool is he talked about, okay, so let's say you live in a city. And he said, so you can't just walk out your back door and be in the woods, right? Most people don't have that capacity. You're really blessed if you live somewhere where you can just have access to this readily. He said, so then what you're going to do is you're going to build in these kinds of ideas to help elevate your state. So things like, I have my speaker sitting right here. I listen to music all day, every day. I could be playing like nature sounds, rain, birds. I can have this, right? So I can have the cityscape right out my window. I can be listening to birds singing, and this is going to help me. I can have like screensavers and artwork that's nature based. And so I spend time, even though it's not going to be right, maybe the way that I would optimally love it. Like I could go on a hike, or I could just look out my window and I've got this incredible scenery or whatever. We don't all have that. So it's about building nature items in. He talked about the level of essential oils being super helpful to us because they come from nature. So rather than man-made things, he said that's another really beautiful like asset to kind of plug in there. So what I think he's really getting at is that, again, we have the ability to transform and shift our brain state into more of a flowing, beautiful state for our work, for our productivity, and honestly, for our experience. I talk about productivity here for everybody, but I'm like spiritually, I'm like, I just want to be in a spiritual place.
It's all good.
But you know what I'm saying? So if productivity and that kind of thing is totally your jam, this applies to all of that. And so that's really what he's encouraging all of us to do. And I was like, that is so, and it's, again, it doesn't sound like rocket science, but I haven't heard it quite this way. And so I appreciated that he broke it down. So there's more detail, right? Again, I'm skipping drastically over some of the things that he said and shared and the whys. But I wanted to just bring that to the forefront, this idea of nature and how very important that is to our state of flow. So we can underestimate it. We can poo-poo it.
We do underestimate it. I wouldn't even say we can. I think we just do.
We just do. And we just go, well, it's not a big deal if I live in the city and I want to say this too, as a segue. I think this is so interesting. We moved about 1.5 years or 2 ago. May would be 2 years, I think. Anyway, and so we now live, our whole back of our home is woods, and the mental health, I literally cannot convey this enough because it'll sound like I'm blowing hot air up your ass, but I'm not. We lived in the suburbs and I loved my home, loved my neighbors. all day long, there was a highway, right? I mean, right down the way, cars, sirens, motorcycles, all day, every day. I mean, there was just so much noise.
Yeah.
And again, and he said, you think you become accustomed to it, you kind of become immune, but you're still, he's like, that's not a great place to be. It just means that your state sort of altered. It's not like you're like actually better off. And I'm like, that is so true. So now we go on the back deck and I can sit and listen to the birds, and the mental health component of that, the spiritual well-being, through the roof. And so,
well, because it's a difference between energy source and an energy drainer. And urban settings are just, there's a density of energy drainers, right? And nature is an energy source, whether we believed it or not. It's just, you know, it's just the truth. If you go back, actually, because I won't be able to recite it all, but if you go back to our talking about the season change in the fall, I talked about the fact that the quantum theory is that everything, even solid things like us and chairs and whatnot, are made of energy. Nature is made of energy. And that there is a recycling of energy, like the energy molecules, the things that make me have been around for millions, billions of years, the things that make those trees millions, billions of years. And the way that we interact with those things can generate, you know, it can refreshen, it can renew, it can spring clean, which is kind of what we're talking about today.
Create flow. Anyway, so Justin Fairman's absolutely amazing. I strongly encourage, I am not stealing any of his content. This is literally his content. I just love what he said. And it just backs up, I think, what we already believed. So I love when you find content, you're like, oh, that makes so much sense. And it's, you know what I mean? So beautifully said by Justin. So the idea of spring cleaning, we talked about, Natalie said this, she's like, I think, you know, we could talk about looking at your self-care routine. So why don't you go ahead and take it away for a minute and talk about self-care routine, you know. Oh, and I should say too, we are going to be doing a ceremony, a cleansing ceremony at the end of our time today. And so what we'll do is we'll try to find the timestamp if we can, just to let you know. And the reason we might do that is you can listen to the talk. And if you don't have all of your items ready to do the ceremony, you can come back and just do the ceremony. Okay. So we will try to put that somewhere that you all know, like what time is the actual ceremony. Come back and do that if you'd like to do that at a separate time, but we will be doing that in a little bit as well. Okay, Natalie, sorry, I didn't say that in the beginning.
No.
Take it away.
So Jen and I were, you know, we every other week we get together, we talk about what's going to be our topic for Women of Wellness. And so we were spitballing, and I said, well, it's spring, and we could talk about kind of that shift and spring cleaning. Like everybody thinks about spring cleaning kind of in the physical sense, like we clean the garage out, and we clean the house out, and we, you know, we put winter things away, and we bring out whatever's going to be out for the next season. And I want us to think about internal spring cleaning. So winter is a dormant stage, both in nature and in us. We hunker down, right? And even if you're not in a place that has seasons, you know, the way that we do here in Minnesota, even if you listen to us and you're from other areas of the world, there's still energetically this kind of, there's a growth season from spring through summer. There is a death season from fall into winter, and winter really is about dormancy. It's about things staying asleep, and we're awakening them now in the spring. So I want you to think about how in the winter time, the way that we care for ourselves looks and feels very different than it would in the spring and into the summer. And I'm sure Jen and I, since we're on this theme, we'll probably do another one when we get to summer. But this is about life springing forth. It's about renewal, regeneration, and it's about bringing things from that sleeping state into a waking state. So think for yourself what it is that you've been doing through the winter for self-care. And some of that may be to stay warm, to stay cozy, to stay in. And now I want you to think about expansion. I want you to think about the kinds of self-care things that you can be doing that include nature, movement, and really kind of stepping into your bigness or stepping into your growth.
No, I think that's so beautiful. And I think that, you know, I spent all of March talking about flow. and trying to get people kind of in this state, which is how I stumbled across Justin's information and been working and really sitting in this idea. And so what we want to do now is reconfigure the state of our flow for this energy. This energy is very different. I love that Natalie talked about renewal and regeneration. And so, right, things are starting to green up again. And now, right, so we can see, and so we have an internal fire that sort of gets relit, which is why I did flow in March, because in March, we're in this weird flux. And I felt like it was a month where we needed to have this idea of like riding out, because it might snow here. It might snow, it might be 16. You could wear shorts and then we'll be wearing a parka the next week. So for us, because of those big swings, we needed the ability, all of us, to kind of ride out that last month between really like fully winter and fully spring. And so now we're kind of coming into this like stepping into spring. So we want to kind of reconfigure exactly what Natalie said. How are you energetically going to shift what you're going to do for your self-care?
Right. So, you know, and I have 4 questions that I use for a myriad of reasons. It's a person-centered theory, but it's beautiful because it's simplistic, but it gets us thinking proactively. So it's what's working, what isn't working, what to keep the same, what to do differently. So I'll say it again. It's what's working, what isn't working. So you're kind of looking at what, for my internal self-care, what's working and what isn't working right now. And then what do I want to keep doing because it's working, or embellish on because it's working? And what do I want to try and do differently? So it's not looking at anything like, oh, that sucks. It's not a judgmental kind of view, but it's more of an active change view of what am I doing right now? Like, is it working for me? Is it not working for me?
Yeah.
If you're, walking on a treadmill, you take it outside. It's warm enough. You can do that.
Yeah. And I would say that's what I would hope for today for everyone who's listening with us, is taking this invitation to reconfigure. That's what, right. If we're going to realign, if we're going to renew, it's time to renew all those pieces and take those questions that Natalie asked and really sit in like, okay, what might I want to change? So like Natalie said, great idea of like, if you're doing a treadmill, get outside. So, right. So the idea is like, what can we take from that dormant state and move it into a more energized version of something that's going to match what's happening internally. So from an Eastern perspective, we know acupuncture will teach us that the fire is being reignited now. And that's what starts to make agitation on the inside of us in about March, is we're not quite there. And so now we're like arriving, so we can kind of really embrace this, right? And this is why, friends, people get a burr up their butts to go clean their garages, clean their closets, do spring cleaning, because we have this, the babies are coming. Think about Mother Nature, right? I just want to say, right, I know, just roll with me with babies. There might not be babies, but that's what it was, is that was a stereotypical time of Mother Nature, that everything was going to start to be reborn again. So there was this antsiness, this internal antsiness and fire to make sure that things were well, that we were prepared and we were ready. And so there's this energy that we are all hardwired with, like, this is just what we do. Use it, right? Here's what I would say, like, use it, like go take care of your things, because you've been invited into this sweet energy of this season. And like, it's renewal, like get in there and take care of yourself. So whether it's your self-care routine and just like discovering something new, it's like, might be starting a new community, right? I could so it could be, I join a new community, I'm walking more outside, I'm embracing the outdoors whenever possible. What other good thing? I'm trying to think of like some good other alternatives, so that we're kind of giving people some good.
Well, I don't know if you're ready for this, but one of the things that I think that can sneak up on us, especially after daylight savings, days are going to get longer. And as days get longer and we're not intentional, work-life balance starts to slip significantly. And here's what I mean. Whether or not you were paying attention to it or not, your mind knew when it was dimming that the end of a workday was happening and the beginning of your evening with your family, for instance, or your evening with yourself, doing your self-care is going to start. And because it's now, I don't even know what it is. It's like light out till 7:30ish or even whatever, 8 o'clock-ish. I mean, it's getting there. It'll sneak up on you. And if you let yourself kind of just unintentionally keep working until that triggers you, your internal, like, oh, it's getting dark, we should shift. you will start to be working way too much. So you need to kind of address, I think, some of those things. Like these cues are not going to be there in the same way they were in the winter, because we're having longer days. And take a look at your work-life balance. This is another area to spring effing clean. Like this is a place for you to be like, am I doing too much? Am I giving myself enough time for rest and restore? Because if I'm not giving myself enough time for rest or restore, that jacks up the flow too. I mean, you know, what Jen was telling us and what Justin Fairman has talked to us about really is about staying in that optimal state. But part of preserving your optimal state is making sure that you have that work-life balance.
Absolutely. And I think, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer when I say this, poor Debbie's out there. But what I want to say is that what we want to think about too is with COVID, right? I know we're all very excited that like life feels like it's beginning slowly to return to normal, which is amazing. But I just want to say that many of us are still at home working. So this is bonus extra important, because many of us, I was going to work from home anyway, but many of us are still in that work from home zone. So it's already blurred, right? It's already like, I'm doing laundry, I'm half cooking a meal. I mean, like, I'm sure that people relate to this. Like we're all being pulled in all these directions because we work from home. And so what I really want you to be thinking about is it's extra important that we look at this work-life balance as the season shifts, also out of respect and regard for the fact that we are still coming out of that pandemic. And so we're still living in that zone in many ways. And so I think it's just about being really kind and generous to ourselves. Like Natalie said, with like, oh, that's right. Set an alarm, friends. Set an alarm. So like Natalie has sessions. So like she would know when my last session's done, my day is done. I mean, that's right. So like she would know that. But for many of us, if we're not in a session with people or in a meeting, we can set a timer on our phones, a watch, whatever, that says, hey, it's 5 p.m. We're starting to shut down now, right? So it's regarding we have that energy that we need to take care of and preserve. And it's honoring that by setting that time aside and saying, okay, now I'm going to be done. I'm going to go make myself a healthy meal. I'm going to go spend time with my family. I'm going to go take a nice walk. I'm going to take good care of myself so that I'm preserving this beautiful fiery reawakening in this energy so that I can really use it to its optimal form. And if we're exhausted, right, and we're still coming out of that, we know there's after effects of COVID, which we will not, again, expand on. Everyone's talked about it till we're blue in the face, but there's still residual stuff we're still coping with from that. And so in order to really hold high regard, hold that space. Hold space for yourself, right? Even if it's when you're done, go have a glass of water on your deck, be outside on a deck, go for a walk. Again, it's embracing, right, the seasonal change.
Sit on your front stoop. I mean, maybe you don't have a yard. Maybe you don't have, like, sit on your front stoop. Like really just breathe some air. Change of venue is pretty powerful, honestly, for transitions.
For sure.
So if you are working from home, one of the things that I could suggest that's the easiest for transition is just literally get out of whatever the physical place is that you're in your workspace. And I don't just mean like, like this is my workroom and I could go out no, like just go outside, give yourself even 5 minutes in a different place with different air and different breath and all of the things.
Exactly.
To kind of give your brain the cue, something else is up here. We're going to do something different this time.
And I would also promote, as soon as the weather permits, open your windows. As soon as
unless you have allergies like I do, in which case that's a nightmare.
Unless you have allergies. My windows are already open. They're not open a lot.
My neighbors are.
But I'm listening to the birds. Yesterday I was doing my meditation on Insight Timer and I left my window open, the cars going by. I'm like, well, this isn't exactly as soothing as I like, but I could hear the birds and I wanted people to be able to hear the birds. So when you can, again, be embracing some of that growth and that fresh air, that is going to be so good for your state. And so all the little things, the big ones, like Natalie's talking, the big transitions, and even things like being able to have your windows open, get some fresh air, get some air movement. That's clearing things out. If we're talking about, right, cleaning house, that's clearing things out for your home, the energy in your home. Okay.
Yeah.
It has energy. I know everyone just went, what? But it does. Okay.
But it does.
right? Emotional wellness. So checking with how you're faring, how is it going mentally? Where are you at? I think the same questions apply that Natalie asked, what's working, what's not working, what do I need to change? What can I keep the same? I think we should be doing this on a regular basis anyway, right? I mean, we just should. But I think seasonally, it's a really good, like every quarter is like, oh, let's just self-assess.
Yep.
Not criticize, not judge. Let's self-assess where I'm sitting. How am I doing? How am I feeling? How do I feel like I'm showing up to things? And am I feeling energized? Am I feeling connected? Or am I needing deeper connection with something? Do I need to add some source of community or, see my friends a little more often or whatever it might be? And part of that is adding in hobbies and things that you enjoy that are now going to become seasonally available. Things like gardening. So this is a great time to get yourself some dirt and plant some little seeds in something if you have the ability to do that. Like there's just something about the smell of dirt. Justin talks about it, the smell of dirt. There is something so grounding and earthing about that we really want to engage in that. So even little steps like that, where it's like, how can I just plug in and elevate my mood by being in those places and using those little tools is a huge deal. So I think assessing how you're doing emotionally, 'tis the season, 'tis the energetic.
'Tis the season.
And
if you're feeling stuck, those are beautiful things to do to jog your brain into taking it out of that just procedural memory, just default mode, not really thinking things through, and bringing it into your conscious awareness, which is mostly in your frontal lobe, your prefrontal cortex, and making yourself decide, is this working? Is it not working? Another question you might ask is this serving me? I did a real brief tip video just a week ago, I think. And I was talking about if you're suffering or feeling stuck or just, there's negative, some energy of some sort, ask yourself, what's the rule that tells me I'm supposed to feel yucky here? What rule is holding me in place to this? Because if it's an old pattern of, well, this is just what I do in the spring, or this is just what I do, and then take a step outside of that and go, does this really serve me anymore? I'm a grown ass person. Like I get to decide if this serves me or not any longer. And if it doesn't, ask yourself how to change that, freshen that up, spring clean it out of your life. You can do that with relationships. Are they serving me? Does this feel like I'm feeling safe, secure, and connected? Or is this more like I have to do this because these are the people in my life, like they're my family? No, toxicity is toxicity, and you don't need to keep that around. And if you are making the choice, or you're choosing not to do anything with it, which is making a choice to keep those people in your life, it'll take up your bandwidth. It's going to take up what you've got to give, and you won't have very much left for things that you want to do.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yesterday I did my meditation insight timer was about actually releasing the things that aren't serving us. That was the first thing we did. And then we moved into recognizing how to be in flow with things when they don't suit us. And so there's actually a meditation insight timer that will be coming that is about its flow, vibration in, vibration out. So if anybody's interested in that, that will be getting published. That was that meditation is perfect for this exact conversation, but also time of year. Like it's going in, we're releasing stuff that's not serving. I'm a big fan of getting aware of that stuff. And so what I was going to say when you started talking was I would recommend journaling. I would do a meditation.
Oh yeah.
And then I would journal what is no longer serving me. And I would get really aware of what doesn't feel like it fits anymore. It's like Natalie said, it's relationships, it's places, it's an aspect of your job or whatever it might be. It might be parts of yourself. I mean, we get sick of ourselves, so it might be something that you're like, I don't even like that, how that's feeling for myself.
Cut the hair, do the things.
Exactly. Exactly. So I would also throw that out there that I love this idea of like, what is not serving me? And for me, that spring is all about that energy. It is releasing and then planting new seeds, planting new seeds. So all of April in my content is going to be about renewal. And it's all about planting new seeds, but I like first starting with that cleanse. I do. So you can even see when we're talking about releasing what's not serving me, that's cleaning. That's clearing. That is soul clearing
Yeah.
work that you're doing. And so at its very greatest, that is exactly where we're going today. So if nothing else, right? If you could take nothing else away, I would love for you to take that idea. What do I need to release so that I can plant new seeds? What can I release? I can plant new seeds. So we're making space at the in, and this is your in. Your soul is your in.
Yep.
So I love that. Okay. So Natalie, I think we're about ready to do our conversation unless you have final thoughts. We're going to do our ceremony in just a second, but
did you want to add anything to actual throwing away of things?
I will say this. Now this is a Jen thing. So take this for what this is worth. I am actually an incredible fan of actual cleaning. And here's why I'm going to say emotionally, I think it's so important. It is literally, you're seeing things go away of your volition. It's empowering. It sounds so stupid. Yeah. It's so empowering though to go, I don't need this anymore. I don't need this anymore. Maybe someone else needs it. I have a bag of throw. I have a bag of donate. And it feels so lovely to make those maneuvers in your life. And it's just decluttering. And so think about that, right? If we're talking about what's not serving me in my soul, what's not serving you in your home? I hate to say this, your life, what you live in, is a reflection of your internal world. I'm just saying.
Or your 6-year-old's internal world.
Or you just saying. But I'm just saying, right? What I'm saying is that it actually, there is something to be said for when we're in clutter, we feel the energy of that. That is not flow, okay? And so that's where I would say is, can you go in and can you look at that and recycle or, give away or, throw away things that are really not serving you anymore. Like you're just never going to wear that jacket or you don't need those pair of shoes are worn out. Why the hell are they in my closet? There's these things that I really do feel like, and cleaning your home. This sounds funny, but having honor for your home, you live in your home. Your home has energy. And so this is a great time. And that's what we're going to be doing in a minute. Our cleansing ceremony is going to be for ourselves and our homes. But it's why I would say that I think that is very crucial as well. I don't want to ignore it because it's like the easy one. No. Cleaning and like, I get it, but I hate to ignore it because I actually think it's so therapeutic for us in our souls and in our beings. Cleaning your home means you're cleaning fresher air. You know what I mean? It's all that stuff. We're just cleaning out stuff that's not serving in a really physical, visceral way. And so I want to just lob that out there because I know it's the easy one, but I actually still think it's super important. So anyway.
No, I think it is too.
So what do you have going on? We're going to discuss events and things coming up for us, and then we're going to move into our ceremony. So Natalie, take it away.
All right. I am in my 3rd month. We just started the 2nd week of the 3rd month of Learn to Love Your Story. The personal development course that I have on learntoloveyourstory.com. And we are talking about bucking the system is the name of this part of the course, but we're talking about kind of those underlying rules or those underlying structures that we just don't think to even question that govern lots of how we feel and think in our life. And so just unearthing that, kind of looking at it if it serves you or not. So feel free to come over to learntoloveyourstory.com. So, I have a new blog and a new video tip every single week, and other little tidbits here and there. I am on most of the social media platforms. So if you go to learntoloveyourstory.com, at the top right corner, you'll be able to just go whatever your favorite social media is and follow me. I would strongly encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel because that's where the video tips all get housed. And so that's another easy way because then it'll come, it'll let you know anytime that you're on YouTube, or if you sign up and let it come to your email, it'll let you know that way as well. And I'm going to be starting a new email campaign where every single week at the end of the week, I send you a nice little email that has all of the things together with a little write-up. And so if you want to be part of that, you need to go to learntoloveyourstory.com and sign up or subscribe so that you're on my email list. And then I'll be sending those to you.
Awesome.
All right. What about you?
I have a lot going on, so I'm going to try to skip through it because we will be here for 20 minutes. So first things first, I'm always on Insight Timer Monday mornings at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. That is a standing time for my people, my community. The community is absolutely freaking epic. They literally feel like my tribe. And so I invite you into that, not just to come and sit and hang with me, but the community is awesome. And so come and join us for the lives. They're super fun. I have a library of meditations as well, adding to that weekly. But I would say that really, truly the lives are a blast. We come in and we spend some time doing some personal growth to start, which is what makes my meditations different. So we're doing some personal growth, then we do meditation, then we come back and we spend time in community, just connecting to one another. It's awesome. So that's number one. Two, I have a series, The Four Agreements, coming out, Yoga Nidra, through the Yoga Center Retreat. That is new. I have joined forces with them to provide this next layer of work. I have another group that's going to be starting with them in June. We won't get there today. We'll just talk about Yoga Nidra, which starts in April. That's going to be Sunday evenings from 7:30 to 9:30 Central Standard Time. If you want to sign up for that, you have to go to Yoga Center Retreat. So I just want to, because I know it is going to confuse people. So that's where we go to sign up for that Yoga Nidra. That's coming up in April. And then like I said, we'll be announcing the June group coming. That's small. All groups are small and intimate, and there's a coaching energy to them. So just so you understand too, that that's part of what you're getting when you're signing up for any of these events with me. Looking to do a hopefully like Mother's Day, Women's Day tea and meditation, which I would host here. That's going to be coming out hopefully May. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm going to figure out how to finagle that jam. So we're going to try to do a tea and meditation. And then coaching is always available. So I am also like Natalie on all socials. Please go and follow me. Find me on Insight Timer. I'm on Instagram all the time, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube. So we are so grateful if you go and like or subscribe. That's a big deal for us. And the reason it's a big deal is it allows us to do more lives and things like that. It isn't like, oh, we're awesome. It's no, that each layer that you get followers, you're able to do more things. And both Natalie and I are passionate about getting our message out there. So when you do those things, it does mean a great deal to us. And so we're super grateful if you can follow us in those platforms. It's just a big support. So
and if you're enjoying what we are putting out, and we really appreciate that, believe me, other people could too. And I just feel like the whole world is coming out of a really dark time over the last year. And so there's almost 8 billion people in the world, right? There's not enough of the healing people giving enough of this away in a way that's easily, readily available, free for people. I mean, we also do paid things, but a lot of this stuff that we're doing for you. So if you're enjoying it, other people would enjoy it. If you like it, people you see, then they see our stuff. And that's how this works, guys. So we really appreciate it when you share and when you like our stuff and when you subscribe, because then more people will start to see what we're doing, and we're passionate about helping. That's really what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and I forget to say, I never remember this, Natalie, you're gonna have to nudge me. I forget I'm on live doing personal growth and development every single Monday.
Every week.
Laughing
Lotus Wellness.
Right.
Follow her.
laughinglotuswellness.com. You can find me, subscribe to my emails. That's where all of the new events will always be listed. You will get emails. And so that is really the smartest place to go, is my website. Get hooked into the emails. There's new stuff coming all the time. There's coaching that's being developed. There's packages being developed. There's healing packages, all kind of stuff that's going to be, but you have to get over there because that'll be the easiest place. But if you just want to follow along for the content as well, every single Monday, like late morning, I'm in Instagram and Facebook every week providing new content, and I'm going to start adding YouTube. So again, like Natalie, if you're following us, there's spaces where you can be getting that free content all the time. Like, dude, it cost you nothing. So hey, like, dude, free stuff is good in my opinion.
Free stuff is good. Just saying.
Okay, so let's do our ceremony, my friend. So I'm going to walk you through what we have and how you can do this. And I'm going to say too, this is not a very spiritual one. I kept it really kind of short and sweet because I didn't want to make it so kind of, woo for people that were new to this idea, because I felt like, let's start small. So here's what I have. So I have this really beautiful shell. This is commonly associated with doing cleansing. So I have my sage bundle here. This is one that I got in Sedona, which I love. It actually, like, I know it's going to sound funny, but it smells different than my other sage. And so it's like special to me.
Didn't it? It smelled way different.
Weird. And then this is Palo Santo wood. Otherwise, Natalie called it
Palo Alto. I knew as soon as I said it, I was like, what the heck? It's a city. I don't know. Anyway,
I go, that's a city in California. So we are going to be.
If you want to talk about the reticular activating system in your brain, I got you. If you want to talk about a wood that you burned to clean your house, not my thing.
Well, nope. I got you. Palo Santo. So here's the thing, friends. You can get these in metaphysical places, but you can get these in so many places. You can get this online. Okay, this is not. So also, here's another trick. You go to a metaphysical store and this stuff will cost you like $20 or $10, something like. Go find it somewhere else. Okay, I'm just saying, right? Like that's trickery. You don't need to spend that much on it. So you can do either one. The one thing I will say, sage is, and this has been around forever. So many people associate sage with like Native American ritual and things like that, but actually this is really shamanic. And so this has been around longer than even the Native American rituals and things that we tend to think of. So it's been around forever. Okay. So sage is super healing. It actually has purifying quality to it. So when you do this, you actually are like clearing the air, which is really cool. But this is pungent. So sage is much more pungent, has a little marijuana smell. I'll be honest, right? I'm like a big, like, let's keep it real. I am a fan of doing this for short bits in my home or for myself. Only will I do a full cleanse when I can open all my windows in my home. Okay, so if I want to do a full home cleanse, and that's really powerful, and I will do that as soon as all the windows can be open. I will go through my entire home with sage and burn it. This is a little more campfire-y smell. It's a little sweeter and it's subtler. And so if you were like if you wanted to kind of go through and do either cleansing your home, you can do this with crystals, you can do this with your person. So I strongly recommend cleansing with either one of these, your person, on a regular basis, actually. And so I have this to catch any embers. That's why you want to have like a ceramic bowl or a shell or whatever you might have on hand. That's just, you don't have to have something fancy. And all you're going to do, and I will do my sage just to show you guys this morning. So all you're going to do, I have this weird string hanging off of here, is it's going to take a minute. So you want to get sort of like an ember glow going here. And so you can see the smoke is starting to come off of there. And so what I'm going to do, and then you can sort of just gently blow on that to keep it going usually. And otherwise you might have to relight it. It doesn't hurt to relight it, so don't be worried about that. I just have my like lighter handy. And then so this is what we do, right? So now this is like lit and going. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pass this around my body. I would literally, if I was standing, I would pass this around every single aspect of my body. I would have it, and I would even do it around my feet. So we're just cleansing. And the idea is sending yourself a blessing. It's just for cleansing. You're removing any negative energy. So you can just say to yourself, I'm here, I'm removing any negative energy, anything that's attached to me, anything that's no longer serving, I release that. So that's all we're doing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So see it starting to, right. So just with a little bit of this. Now, I'll walk you through the actual wording of the ceremony in a minute. The other thing you can do is take this sage bundle or your Palo Santo lit and going, which mine is not very well. And what you're going to do is in every corner of your room, if you want to do a room to start, particularly spaces where you sleep, spend a lot of time, like I do it a lot where I work, because it's also a spiritual space for me. We're going to take and make sure that the smoke gets into every corner of the room. And I go in a clockwise direction. I don't know why, it's just what I do. So in my ceremony, as I'm cleansing, I'll go through my entire room, make sure the smoke gets up into all the corners. And I'm doing that very same releasing of any negative energy. Okay. So not hard. This will take you 2 minutes. Okay. So with this, I say it's nice to set a tone for cleansing by finding a peaceful and healing music. I love that. I often listen to really Native American music, so flutes and things like that. That's just really beautiful for me. There's stuff on YouTube galore. If you go look up like cleansing ceremony, trust me, you'll find music. Okay. And so if that resonates, if it doesn't, ditch it. I
have Spotify, and all you have to do is just like put in the search menu, like
for sure
meditative music
stuff everywhere. Exactly. So there's stuff everywhere, and it's really about what speaks to you, what's going to help you feel. And I like it because it feels more ceremonial. I know that sounds funny. That's all it is. Do I have to do it? Nope. In a hot second, do I do that every time? No. This is just when I'm doing like an actual ceremony.
But think about this though, Jen. I mean, look at your beautiful sound bowls in the background. That is also an internal cleansing, right? Sound and music is also an internal cleansing. And so you're doing both. And when you have a soothing music on, it's like putting a balm all through your psychic body. Yeah.
And I'm a big believer of, passionate about combining layers of healing. And I think that's where we get the greatest effect. And so it's why Natalie's exactly nailed it, why we would incorporate sound into this, and why I would do this. And then maybe I would sit in meditation, or maybe I'd sit in meditation, then I do a cleanse. Then I would have my music, then I would sit in meditation again, then I would journal. So it's all the layers of things that we're putting together that really have this potent effect. But so we just set the tone, right? And then I said, it's really beneficial to have your windows open. And when you have your sage or Palo Santo ready with a bowl, then you're ready to do your ceremony. Okay. And so I said, first, so I'm going to invite you to just close your eyes if you're joining us and doing this. So again, you can come back and do this. We'll give the timestamp for it. You're clearing your mind and slowing the breath. And when we're here, we're just going to take a moment to ask for divine support and guidance, whatever that is for you, whatever feels good for you. So we want that divine guidance in the ceremony that we're going to perform. And we ask for open hearts as we light our sage or Palo Santo and imagine that any negativity is being burnt away with the smoke, real or imagined. Even if you can't actually do this, you can imagine it. Cleansing ourselves first of any negative energy that is no longer serving us, saying to yourself, I release any and all energies that do not serve myself and others for the highest good of all. And I just know we can all get behind that. That's not a religious doctrine. That's something that we just want to do as good human beings. I am cleansed. And then we always want to have gratitude. I always end mine with thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I've taken my sage. I've gotten all sorts of beautiful smoke all around myself. We can do this in, excuse me, a small area. I always do this around my work area because this is where I spend so much time creating. And now we can take and make sure our bundle is lit and making sure that that smoke again reaches all the corners of your space. Saying again, I release and cleanse any energies that do not serve myself and others for the highest good of all. Allowing divine guidance and healing energy to fill up the space that you're in, whether it be a room or your whole home. This space is now cleansed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We just want to engage these cleansing rituals. Again, in the turn of seasons, after conflicts in new homes, in places of high traffic, lots of people coming and going, after an illness, or just when we need a fresh start. So I do this whenever I'm going to do any healing work, or even a deeper meditation. I do this to allow myself to show up in the purest form that I possibly can with my energy. So just as simple as that, I release and cleanse any energies that do not serve myself and others for the highest good of all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So that is the sage, my friends. I'll show you Palo Santo, and that is literally the ceremony. So it's like I said, I kept it very short and sweet. You can be much more elaborate, which I really vibe, but today we're not going to do that. So again, the Palo Santo, same idea. I just blow on that and it's going to begin to have a nice ember. This is a little cleaner. I will say the one thing about Palo Santo, one, it's a little sweeter, it's a little less pungent. And this is nice because it doesn't seem to drop as much stuff as the sage. I'm walking with my sage and there's little bits everywhere. So it's why having something underneath of that is really like helpful, because it'll just catch any of the extra stuff. But so I love this. I think this smells so beautiful to me. So if you have an affinity for one or the other, I will say this. I love Palo Santo. Sage it's a deeper cleanse to me. It's just the way I experience. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I would also say, if you live somewhere, if you're in an apartment building and you're like, I'm going to do this and people are thinking I'm smoking weed, and or people are going to think I'm starting something on fire. Okay. So the other thing that you can do, and I like this, I know some other people might, I don't know, argue this. I really like actually using incense. And so the other thing that you could do is get something like a sage incense. A sage sweetgrass is my very favorite incense on the planet. And so you could even take that, light that, and because it has that same idea, I still think that that's a beautiful way to cleanse. And so when I'm in a hot second and I don't have a lot of time, I will take some form of sacred incense, and that's what I'll do. You could do myrrh, you could do copal, you could do all sorts of things, but there's even a sage sweetgrass incense out there like that. Burn it around yourself, burn it around your space. I still feel better. Is it the deep one that I like to do? No. But does it cut it in a pinch? Or if you lived in an environment where you didn't feel like you could readily like pull out a big old whole wad of something, you can totally easily use incense as well. So just another option for you if you're looking for something and you just don't want to be that quite that intense about it. So again, you can see, you guys, we did that. That took what, 2 minutes, really? Not even.
Yeah.
And
Not
it
even.
wasn't religious. It wasn't religious. It wasn't necessarily spiritual. We talk for divine guidance. That could be Mother Nature. That could be anything. That's just inviting insight and wisdom into our hearts and helping us cleanse. So you can keep this as neutral or as faith-based as you wanted to. That's what's really lovely about it. A lot of these energetic tools that we have fall anywhere on that spectrum according to how you feel best about using it. So I always want to say that so people don't feel like they're stuck having to do something that doesn't quite feel right for them. So you make it right for you. So if you ever have questions on that, let me know. I'll hook you up. I'll walk you through it. So anyway, that is our ceremony. Again, I would do this as soon as you can open windows throughout your entire home. Get your entire self cleansed first, so that as you're doing your ceremony, you are coming from a pure heart and space. You could say prayers while you're doing this. You can send good intentions. I'm sending loving intention to my home. I'm sending loving intention to all the people that are here. May love and light embrace us all. I mean, you could sit and make this as formal and neat and specific as needed, or just as kind of blank slate as we just did. And so super, super simple to use as a tool anytime. Even Natalie does it.
I do.
Even Natalie.
It's true.
It's amazing.
I worked at the Native American Community Clinic for almost 5 years, you guys. And learning about sage and cleansing was amazing through the traditional medicine sense. And they would have traditional medicine, you know, individuals who practice that come in and talk to our staff, so that we were kind of incorporating Western medicine with some of the more indigenous medicine to, you know, Ojibwe, Anishinaabe, Dakota, all the peeps that are in our area here in Minnesota. And so I like it. And I learned about it back then. And they actually do have scientific analysis that shows that sage, like it will rid an environment of bacteria. And I believe viruses also decrease. And so it's legit. It's not just a spiritual symbolism, which it is. It is also legitimately a medicine, an indigenous medicine that works. So do it. It's awesome.
Yeah. So give it a try. Again, you might feel like a fool the first couple times you do it. I'll be honest. First couple times, what kind of weird doing this? And then when you feel the difference, when you feel, I think, energetically and spiritually, like, oh, wow, that like really is, there's something happening here. That's why people continue to do it. So I am a huge fan of smudging. I love it, love it, love it. Love that Natalie does it. So both of us have a belief system in this, whatever that might be. And so use this as a tool. And so I invite you to, this is a perfect time of year to be using these kinds of ceremonies and tools for yourself to be cleansing, but they're anytime on it, right? They're anytime. But this is a great time as we're turning over into a new energy, a new season. Go through your whole house, take care of yourself, and just see what happens. Because I think you'll find that you're really grateful that you took the time to purify. Yeah. So, all right, friends, this is Jen and Natalie signing off from WooWoo in the Brain. We'll be back in a couple more weeks. We'll see you back here, hopefully in a normal format. But here we are. This is what magic.
Enjoy.
Hope you guys enjoyed, and we will see you guys next time.